Business people interact with others in various capacities. You have employees, you have customers, you have your financials, service providers, etc. Labor laws, therefore, comes in handy in your business or entrepreneurship. And that's why the first item that we need to look at is why labor laws. That is a question that you need to ponder over. The labor laws are a necessary burden on business. If you look at your business, the labor laws that you are supposed to have knowledge of, do you incur burden while implementing those labor laws, or are they a benefit to you? Then another question I would like you to ponder is who benefits most from the labor laws in business? Now, having given that background, I would like us to focus more on the relevance of labor laws in your business and probably the consequences that may follow. Don't observe labor laws in the Republic of Kenya. Now, if we look at the meaning of labor laws, that may not even be very important. As Dr. Stanley has said, nothing can be done without laws in place. Otherwise, the world will be chaotic. Labor laws simply deals with rules and regulations governing people in employment relations. Actually, it's a branch of civil law. Law majorly is divided into two parts: criminal law and civil law. Criminal law is, on the other hand, not part of our case today. Now, when I'm talking about employment relations, I'm talking about employer-employee relations. And as business people, you are employers. You employ people to help you do one or two things here and there. And your relationship with them is governed by labor laws. Now, in its comprehensive sense, labor laws will take you to matters of social security and even disability insurance. Now, very important, why learn labor laws in business? Critical is that labor laws clarify and codify the business owners' obligations to the employees. Knowledge of those labor laws is important because that is where we get clarity and qualification as a business owner. Also create a productive work environment that evaluates business growth. The growth of your business depends on the environment in which you're working. That's where labor laws come in. It will also protect and safeguard employers and employees. Okay. So where you have your business, the protection of labor laws comes in. It will also improve employer-employee relations. Just remember that failure by any business person, any entrepreneur, to obey labor laws can result in serious financial penalties. That's not is consume money. Money is what was meant to save. Now, the next point I would like to take you to is the legal framework or labor laws or legislation in Kenya. There are various statutes that have been enacted as labor laws in the Republic of Kenya. The first statute is the Constitution of Kenya, and it is the supreme law. And being the supreme law, every other law made in Kenya including labor laws, must comply with that constitution. The Employment Act is a key employer-employee relation statute. In fact, it's the mother of employer-employee relations, which every entrepreneur must be conversant with. The foundation of employer-employee relation in an entrepreneurial area is governed by Employment Act. Without it, you can't move to any other act because you don't have employer-employee relations. The Labor Institutions Act was put in place to establish institutions that regulate labor laws in Kenya. The institutions there, we will see them. Then there is the Work Injury Benefits Act, which is actually a social welfare law. Social welfare because in the course of work, the employee may get injured. That injury of the employee needs to be compensated. We look how it works. The Occupational Safety and Health Act is hygiene law, which was enacted with the aim of ensuring that the environment of work at your place of business is safe, healthy for workers and yourself as the employer. The Labor Relations Act was put in place to ensure that employers and employees have a forum where they can champion their interests. They champion their interests in terms of trade unionism as well as employers' organization. You need to know that the Constitution is the first and foremost source of all laws in Kenya. Because whether the laws are made by Parliament is a creation of the Constitution. Now, the Constitution is the supreme law, said earlier. It is applicable to the entire country. And any other law made by Parliament or through delegated legislation must comply with the provisions of the Constitution. Even the labor laws that we have today must be in tandem with the Constitution. Otherwise, they'll be declared unconstitutional, null and void. Now, our second source of labor laws is legislation, that is acts of Parliament. Constitutionally, Parliament has the mandate to make laws, including labor laws. And through Parliament, several legislations have been enacted. I mentioned them earlier: the Employment Act, the Institutions Act, the Work Injury Benefits Act, the Occupational Safety and Health Act. That is why it's there as a source of labor laws. Collective bargaining agreement is another source of labor laws. By collective bargaining agreement, we mean employers and employees do have disputes. Those disputes are required to be settled by bargaining collectively through the employer or employers organization, as well as trade unions or employees. The law requires that once, if there is a dispute, that dispute can be settled amicably, and once they have reached a standard contract signed, contract standard signed is taken to the industrial court for purposes of registration. And once it is registered, the contents of that negotiation and settlement becomes part of the labor laws governing the people who have entered into that. That is why collective bargaining agreement is a source of labor laws. The common law of England. Remember, Kenya was colonized by Britain. And even though we have our laws governing labor in this, sometimes we have gaps. These gaps can be fulfilled by applying the provisions of the common law of England in those areas. Labor laws are not fully. National political philosophy as a source of labor laws. The national political philosophy of any country, including Kenya, is normally contained in the manifestos political parties. The Industrial Relations Charter is actually a tripartite agreement between the government of Kenya, Central Organization of Trade Unions, as well as the Federation of Kenya Employers. This tripartite group normally sit and give consent to the labor laws we have today. That is why it is also a source of labor. The International Labour Organization, an organization to which Kenya is a signatory, it also formulates policies that affect the labor laws that we have, and the current labor laws we have, and them with the National Labour Organization policies. Sexual harassment. How do you treat sexual harassment in your? It comes in many forms. Or requires that you have a policy on sexual harassment, and you must make employees aware of it. I hope you're doing that. Another objective is to create and define the rights of the parties in employment, provide minimum terms and conditions of employment, create rules for the protection of wages and salaries of employees. We will see how to protect and regulate women juveniles. That the law provides that payment of wages must be made on a working day during working hours, at the place of work or any other place mutually agreed. More important is on the deductions. What are the deductions that you can make from the salaries of an employee? The law states very clearly that you cannot make what is called unauthorized deductions. What are the authorized deductions that you can make? One is deductions specifically authorized by the employee in writing. If the employee authorizes you to deduct, writing you can. Statutory deductions. This includes NHIF, NSSF, tax. That one you can deduct. You can equally deduct salaries in respect of any property damaged or lost by an employee. Lost if it was in the custody of that employee. Very important that I must remind entrepreneurs that the law is very categorical that salaries or wages of an employee must not be paid. This, where intoxicating liquor or spirit is sold, readily available for sale. That is intended to protect the employee so that you don't go and pay them in a bar and they end up consuming that money. Now, the Employment Act goes further to talk about deal with the rights of parties in employment. Parties in employment are employers and employees. Both have rights, and once one has a right, the opposite has a duty. We're talking about right to limitation of working hours. Who has the right to fix working hours? Of course, the employer. But in Kenya, we are saying that employees must not work for more than 52 hours. And when we are talking about employees, let me define it in the Employment Act. We have several employees. There is a contract of service and a contract for service. Contract of service is where we have a person on a permanent and pensionable basis. A contract for service is where we have an independent contractor. An independent contractor is a person engaged to achieve a particular objective, and that person works independently without control of the person who has engaged him or her.